excited for this week's video because we are playing one of my favorite Thanksgiving games, and I'm very happy to report that my activities from last week went off without a hitch. The kids love them. So even though this week's game is like almost kind of the same concept, I'm excited because they're excited, and when they are excited, I am a happy camper. So let's just hop right into it so you can see everything that we are doing this week in speech. I know I had mentioned last week that with my preschoolers, I was kind of getting away from doing the book and activity just because of the nature of the children that we have this year in that program. I am still a huge fan of incorporating books into therapy, but these kiddos just need a little bit more than what the book is able to provide them. And because they need that extra assistance, the storybook isn't always the best tool, I'm finding. So, like I said, my activity with them last week was amazing. It worked flawlessly. It really targeted their goals, and even though it seemed super basic, it did fill up the entire therapy time. And actually, we did a spin-off of it in my spot group, which is the speech and the OT. We kind of get together and we do a joint group, and we had them go like food shopping, and they had to have like a little bag, and then they had to go over to the store and pick up the item that they needed and then bring it back to the table. So we were able to incorporate the fine and gross motor skills that needed to be targeted, as well as following directions and also identifying the objects. We did have to narrow it down for some of my friends, but overall it went really well. So I kind of, like I said, want to keep on that theme of like low-key, easier projects. So this week we are going to be making a little paper bag turkey, and this turkey is my favorite because he's super basic and it actually still legitimately looks like a turkey. And normally I would read a storybook and do this craft, but for this week I decided to center it completely around this activity. As I've mentioned before, most of my preschool kiddos on my caseload this year are in fact nonverbal, so we are working on basic identification, and also I like to use sentence strips with them. So we have all of the turkey pieces. We've got the eyes, the beak, the little wattle, and then the turkey feathers, which are just some of the crepe paper. But what I did is I made some sentence strips, and it just says "I need" on it. And then to go along with the turkey, I made these turkey cards. So a picture of the little wattle, a picture of the beak, the eyes, and then I have the red, yellow, and orange feathers, as well as things that they're going to need, like the glue. So what they're going to do is I will give them a choice of like 2 or 3 picture cards. They will pick the one that they want, and then for my higher level kids, I will actually have them point and say the sentence. So I need glue, if the glue is what they put on their board, and then we will kind of go from there. So this will help with working on identification and also communicating wants and needs, following directions, expanding utterances, etc., etc. And like I said, normally I would have a storybook paired with it, but I think the fact that we're just focusing on the turkey will give us a lot of time to work with each student and kind of get them to incorporate everything that they need and get them to request what they actually need, rather than just kind of having to push everything together and like rush through it. So I'm very excited for this craft, very excited to see how these work out. Like I said, last week, this worked out really well with the kids, especially the visuals, so I'm definitely trying to incorporate more of those picture visuals that they can kind of choose from, and hopefully eventually work on expanding those utterances. For my other kiddos, my older language kiddos and articulation kiddos, it's a little bit awkward, like I mentioned last week, because of the way it got split up between now and Thanksgiving break, so we technically only have 2.5 weeks. So we have this full week of school, and then we have Monday and Tuesday of next week. So I kind of wanted to figure out a way that I wasn't overdoing an activity, but that everybody got to play it. So what I've come up with is that this Monday and Tuesday, we are going to be doing the paper bag turkeys with my older kiddos. A lot of them, like I mentioned a few videos back, have requested that we do like craft activities that they can bring home. So I think that'll go perfectly with it. Except for the older kiddos, they're going to be working on following multi-step directions to assemble the turkey. And then also for some of my higher kiddos, I just printed out the square that says, "I am thankful for," and then they are going to write a little sentence and then draw a picture. And that will help with kind of talking and targeting extra language goals, as well as some articulation goals in there. And then for the next part, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Monday and Tuesday of the following week, we are going to be playing Plated. And that is an activity that I made last year that I am kind of all about. It's one of my favorite things. So they have these dinner plates, essentially, with the plate, the spoon, and the knife. I know that technically when you set the table, they're supposed to be reversed. I know. And then what they get is a recipe card, and they're going to choose one, kind of like last week's shopping list, but these are the foods that they have to collect to put on their plate. So it'll be like 2 scoops of corn, 2 scoops of green beans, 1 serving of cranberry sauce, 1 turkey leg. They're just different, and they actually have like little labels up here. So this one is Veggie Delight for any children that are vegetarians. This one is the traditional turkey, so basically what you would get, so on and so forth. So they can pick whatever recipe card they want that strikes their fancy, and then I will have them asking different questions or answering different questions for my language kids, and then my articulation kids, we are going to be doing Thanksgiving vocabulary to target their speech sounds. But for my language kids, we have a lot of pragmatic questions in this batch. So should you talk while you're chewing your food? What do you do if you spill some food on your lap? Where do you eat dinner? Should you yell across the table to get somebody's attention? Things of that nature. So what they're going to do is answer the question, and then they will choose a card. And on the card, there are all different food items. So if they pick a card that has their food item, they will take that food item from the center and put it on their plate. And then I have just like the realistic food cutouts for them to put on their plate. Also mixed in here is that plate spill card, where they drop their Thanksgiving food on the floor. Fun story, I've definitely done that before, so that's where that comes from. Plate drop, so it shows all of the food falling. They have to put all their food back and start over. And then also in here are some reverse cards. So they have to pass a piece of food to a person either on their right or their left, depending on the card. All of that is mixed into here, kind of just to add some spice and life to the activity, so it's not the plain old, same old story every time we play a game. But they do love that, so, you know, I try to keep it in there as much as possible. So that is basically how they play that. Obviously, my articulation kiddos, I might actually even have them answer these, because a lot of times we're moving on up into sounds in conversation. So it'll be interesting to see how they answer that with their targeted sounds. And then they will pick a card and try to collect as many pieces of food as they can on their Thanksgiving plate. I will have this linked down below so that you can get it if you would like to play this game with your kiddos. I know a couple of people bought it last year and they said that their kids really enjoyed it. So it is there if you need something last minute to kind of entertain your kids until that Thanksgiving break comes along. Also with this game, I have a food sorting mat, so I have Thanksgiving foods and non-foods for those kiddos that need to work on categorizing. And in the printable, there are also some foods that you wouldn't typically eat on Thanksgiving. So that's also included as just kind of like a little extra bonus activity. That's everything that I have for this week in speech. Like I said, next week we are going to be rolling out with the same activity just because it's only the 2 days of school before Thanksgiving break. I cannot believe how quick this year is going. And then we are immediately thrust into like holiday Christmas themed activities, which I have a few things that are really cool that I'm going to incorporate this year that I can't wait to show you. So I'm excited for that. But I am also excited for Plated because it is the closest game I have to consuming real food, and that's like my favorite thing to do. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed seeing everything that I've got going on this week in speech. Make sure you're also subscribed to my channel so you're notified every week of all the new videos that I post of everything that's happening inside the therapy room. And make sure you're following me on Instagram. My handle is the Speech Loft, and that's where I post like throughout the week updates on how everything is going down. But I will see you guys next time. Bye!